The Fallout show has been out for a few months now, and it appears everybody's done filleting this thing. As the first week that this show came out, really the first month or so, you would be hard-pressed to find a single person speaking ill of it, getting back down onto their hands and knees, assuming the position to praise Todd, the glorious liar. All hail Bethesda for squeezing out yet another piece of steaming mediocrity. If you were lucky enough to find someone actually telling you the truth about this show, odds are that they were getting down-duded and yelled at in the comment section by die-hard Bethesda fans. I'm sure that's what they are. Crusading on their eternal holy war to ensure that nobody ever speaks ill of Todd, Bethesda, or any of the bad decisions that they make constantly. With all the internet personalities, bot farms, and critics that were swearing up and down that this was the greatest video game adaptation ever made, seemingly forgetting that this show even existed after the check cleared, we have seen a uptick in smaller creators, smaller channels, or internet personalities, or smaller critics being able to be open and honest about what this show really is, without having their comment section rampage through by true and honest fans. And the truth about this show in particular is that it's about as deep as a scratch-off ticket. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that if you scratch below the surface, you take a second to question what is being shown to you or what is on the screen, you will notice that the entire show kind of falls in on itself. That's not to say that it could be enjoyable on a first watch through if you're a consumer and you're not really there to dig too deep into it. But for anybody that expects good character development, good writing, or cares about the lore of the Fallout series, you're going to be massively, massively disappointed. How I would describe the Fallout TV show is if a B-movie had a multi-million-dollar budget. It looks high quality, but I assure you, it is not. The last episode, when all the twists have been revealed, really just destroys the narrative of everything that's happened before it. An example of this would be how Moldaver and the bad guy, who is Lucy's father, they don't recognize each other apparently, or at least the father doesn't, which is strange since Moldaver was a well-known person during his time that was actively trying to destroy Vault-Tec, the company Lucy's father worked for, but Moldaver is also the very same woman that his wife left him for. So you would think that when Moldaver infiltrates the vault there, he would go, wait a minute, isn't that the brown lesbian my wife left me for? But apparently no, he doesn't remember that. They literally talk face to face. They literally are 5 feet away from each other, giving introductions and doing like a formal thing, and he doesn't fucking realize it. It's just simply unbelievable. After you know that and you go through to watch it again, you're like, wait a minute, what is going on here? Is this guy retarded? He would have to be. But that's not even the only thing that's wrong with the first episode. You see, every Pip-Boy is equipped with a Geiger counter, which normally is on at all times. You can see Lucy activate the Geiger counter and use it on her new husband to find out that somehow he's from the surface, right? Somehow she's able to know that. But everyone in the vault apparently has their Pip-Boy on like power saver mode. I didn't even know that you could turn off the Geiger counter. But nobody's Geiger counter went off. Nobody had it on. They all had it in sleep mode. But thanks to the 2 plot holes right there, all of the raiders are able to infiltrate the vault and start massacring. And Lucy, after getting banged out, is able to immediately tell that her new husband, her new hubby, is actually a raider from the surface based on the sound of gunfire instantaneously. How is that even possible? Literally not even a second goes by, and Detective Lucy has been able to piece this together. I don't even think the guy from L.A. Noire could have put it together that quickly. Eat your heart out, Sherlock Holmes. But, I mean, gunfire isn't something that regularly happens, right? Like, in the vault. They don't shoot guns off in the vault, right? You know, the vault with a firing range where all of the residents have been trained to use firearms. You would never hear gunshots going off, right? So something's gotta be up. I think that's kind of the point where Lucy is undeniably a Mary Sue. It'd be one thing if she was good at shooting, right? Like, that's understandable. She's been shooting guns since she was a little kid, so obviously she's going to be pretty skilled at it. But now suddenly, she's also a master detective on the scale of like L from Death Note. And then in like episode 2, you have probably the worst CGI you've ever seen in such a high budget production. And the show can't tell if it wants the power armor to be really heavy or weigh the same as a tin can based on the way the physics work with it. Completely inconsistent. And then you have like the ghoul throwing the hook and it coming off like this weird ass angle. Just fuck it, it's silly. It's just horribly put together. But not only that, but the entire fight doesn't even make sense because you find out later in the last episode that the ghoul actually knows how to one-tap anything in power armor. And for some reason, he just decides not to do that this fight. And then you have the Enclave scientist, who somehow everyone knows about, everyone knows what he has, and everybody wants to get to him. Don't know how they have that information since, the Enclave probably doesn't want their scientist and technology falling into the wrong hands. But somehow everyone knows about it. And what does he do with this technology? He injects it into his skull. Why? I don't know. He could have put it in the dog. Why didn't he inject it into the dog? Whatever. Oh, actually, you know what? How would they have Lucy girl boss her way through the wasteland like Lollipop Chainsaw style if they didn't do that? I mean, they could have given the dog, right? Dog meat could have had an actual purpose in the show, but instead it's just there's a dog, and he can sniff things real good. And then you have the scene where Maximus, or as I've come to call him, Discount Finn, gets into a brawl with some scavs over his power armor, right? And one of the scavs disappears from the scene. I'm not joking. The scav that gets taken down with the toilet seat ends up hitting him. It hits Maximus with a wrench or something, and then moments later, literally the next scene, Maximus crushes like the leader of them with the hand of the power armor, and you can see one scav run away. The other one is nowhere to be seen. And it's like at that point, are college students, are like film grads writing this script? Are they in charge of making this show? What is happening here? This shit has more errors in it, more bugs, I guess you could say, than an actual Bethesda game. A prime example of this is the changing of how ghouls work in the Fallout universe. Now, ghouls will go feral if they don't get some kind of medicine that they inhale, this like anti-feral serum, where they inhale it, and then for like a few days they'll like suppress the feral, like the rotting of the mind. They're definitely trying to make the ghouls more into like zombies, right? Because like every modern zombie movie, it's all about finding the cure, right? They gotta find the cure, and this is kind of like their adaptation of that, just completely shitting on established Fallout lore. And speaking of, everything that happened in Fallout New Vegas didn't actually happen because of the Blackboard scene with the dates all fucked up. But that's the new canon. Fuck you, Obsidian. Get the fuck out of here. Then later on in the show, you find out that pretty much everyone is 200 years old. They're all from pre-war. And I'm not joking about this. There are more people that are 200 years old walking around from before the bombs dropped than there are actual wastelanders walking around in this show. Never mind the fact that the vault in Fallout 4 was supposed to be the testing ground for this cryostasis technology so that people could live for a long time, that we could put people into the future, suspend people into the future. They just said, fuck it, we're actually doing that all over the place. We didn't even need to test it. The vault didn't even need to be that kind of vault. It was testing nothing, actually. We already knew the technology worked. We just did it because it was funny. We thought it'd be funny. I really don't get how you could fuck up this bad. It's really bad. And then in the last episode, this is probably like the most laughable thing that I saw. They get the 0-point energy device out of the guy's head, out of the Enclave guy's head, right? And the brown communist lesbian woman hooks it up so that they have 0-point energy, and they give it back to Sandy Shores, right? They give unlimited energy to Sandy Shores. Sandy Shores is a nuked city. It is a crater in the ground that has been like that for like 10, 20 years. I don't even remember how long it was. But apparently, all the wiring, all the stuff to allow electricity to flow through the city, that's still intact. That wasn't affected by the nuke. Sure, it's a crater in the ground, but all the wiring's still there, baby. And they light that bitch up like a Christmas tree. And you're left in awe, not only thinking how, but why. Nobody even lives there anymore, right? They make it seem like everyone's left, everyone's moved on. They either died or packed their things and left. Who wants to live in a fucking nuclear crater? So what was the point? What is the point of it? Now to cap this off, we'll talk about the propaganda in the movie. The very last scene in the movie, well, not really the last one, but one of the last scenes, the brown lesbian woman and Lucy's mom, who is a ghoul. They die in each other's arms. They die holding each other's hands. Oh, how watching the sunset, watching Sandy Shores light up like a Christmas tree. How nice, how wonderful. That's how I want my lesbian relationship to end. That's how they all end. I really don't get how everyone can say that this isn't propaganda. Like people were really upset with anyone referring to like the race mixing propaganda that's in this. Every single main character is in a mixed race relationship. Every one of them, except for the bad guy. The bad guy actually had his wife leave him to be in a gay interracial relationship. Oh, but what about the guy that was dating the pregnant woman, Carl? What about the pregnant woman and that tall guy, Lucy's cousin or whatever? Well, that's not really a main character now, is it? In fact, come to think of it, I think that might be the only case that I saw of a non-interracial relationship in this show. But even then, her husband before that guy was some Indian dude. And you'd be forgiven for not like really noticing it because they've been slowly changing that in cinema and media for a long time now. It's in every ad. Most TV shows are like that now. So if you are unfamiliar with that or you weren't around to watch media before then, that wasn't really a thing. They didn't do that, but it's clearly an intentional thing that they're doing there. And now we can finally talk about how heckin' great communism is. Now, if you're familiar with the Fallout series, communism has always been kind of a butt of the joke, right? The Red Scare was still going on because it's from that era where the Red Scare was actually a thing in the U.S. But the show doesn't go with that kind of angle with it. Instead, it glorifies it. The Moldaver literally says the line, they call people communists because they're not brainwashed or something like that, because they're not crazy. And then go on to insinuate that all of the corporations, Vault-Tec included, came together and decided that they're going to nuke the world. They're going to end the world so that they can enhance their revenue. Because that makes sense, right? Killing 99% of the global population is definitely going to increase your revenue. It's going to increase the dollar signs in your bank account, right? And if only everyone listened to the communists, they could have prevented this. Now, before this, Fallout was about there's a resource war going on, and because of this resource war, escalations are rising between the superpowers, and a nuclear fallout happens. They have a nuclear war over it. It escalates to that point. Now it's about capitalism bad. Capitalism is going to kill everyone. It has nothing to do with governments being corrupt or war being bad or resources being depleted from Mother Earth. No. It's about Mao's Little Red Book and how great of a read it is. It's about how they're having a sale on Amazon for a bust of Lenin. It's about accepting transgender people into the military. But more importantly than that, it's about how fucking retarded the Bethesda fanboys are.